It was just another quiet evening in Houston. A small diner, run by a battle-scarred veteran, was getting ready to close. Then came the thunder, the roar of 3 engines, breaking the calm. They stormed in like they owned the war zone. "Look at you, a washed-up war failure," the leader sneered. He dropped the pit bull to the ground. It growled low, eyes burning red. Another thug swung his bat, smashing a wooden table into splinters as terrified customers ran out the door. "No protection money?" he hissed. "Then that busted leg of yours? It's going to stay busted. You won't live long enough to fix it." But they didn't know one thing. A security camera caught it all, and someone uploaded the footage to Facebook. Just 5 minutes later, the entire block was surrounded by military units. Her name is Linda, 50 years old, a former soldier who served 20 years in the military. She never married, a single mother. She raised her daughter on her own. Now, her daughter is married and living far away. Her granddaughter visits every now and then. Linda took a bullet to the leg during a mission, a wound that never fully healed. When the weather shifts, the pain comes crawling back, keeping her awake most nights. Still, she rises every morning. Besides doing odd jobs, she runs a small diner, hoping to earn enough to pay for weekend therapy sessions. Most of her neighbors don't know much about her. All they know is that Linda makes damn good food. But what they don't know is that this quiet woman was once a warrior, and deep inside her, that warrior has never truly slept. Late afternoon, warm yellow light spills from the small diner onto the quiet Houston street. Suddenly, the roar of engines slices through the calm. 3 massive motorcycles screech to a halt in front of the diner. 3 men dismount. They're tall, broad-shouldered, faces hard as stone. Grotesque tattoos crawl across their necks and arms. One of them holds a leash of a vicious-looking pit bull, muscles twitching like it's ready to attack. The other 2 carry baseball bats, and one appears to have a military-grade pistol at his side. The leader kicks the door open and yells, "Hey, you miserable old hag, get out here. You think you can ignore our collection for over a month. You treating us like we're nothing." Linda steps out, calmly wiping her hands on a dish towel. Her eyes sharp, voice steady. "I run a legal business. I have no obligation to pay anyone monthly. If you don't want trouble, I suggest you leave. Now." The leader bursts out laughing. He snatches a bat from one of his men and slams it into the food display case. Glass shatters across the diner. Shards hit a few terrified customers. Food flies everywhere. The pit bull lunges forward, devouring the fallen dishes like it was trained to destroy. The 3 men start forcing customers out, flipping tables and yelling. The leader snarls, "You're all eating food made by a washed-up war loser. No husband, a daughter whose marriage failed too. Take out your phones and record this. Let go viral. A warning to anyone else who wants to do business without paying up." Linda clenches her fist slightly, but her face remains stone cold. Though her heart burns with rage, she continues pouring coffee for the last remaining customer. The leader growls one last threat. "This is your final warning. Crippled witch. No monthly payment? Then get out of here. Forget about affording your weekend therapy. But if you cooperate, maybe we'll let you keep breathing." They laugh loud and cruel, knocking over chairs as they leave. Engines roar again, and the gang disappears down the street. Lieutenant John Miller had just finished a high-level counterterrorism training session, part of his preparation for an upcoming overseas deployment to support Allied forces. His uniform soaked in sweat, he made his way back to the barracks, steps firm but heavy. Without wasting time, he headed straight for the showers. His body was solid, powerful abdominal muscles, a result of years of discipline and relentless physical training. His face was calm, but it carried the unmistakable weight of courage. After his shower, John collapsed onto a single bed, grabbed his phone, and opened Facebook. He messaged his girlfriend, "You home from work yet?" Seconds later, a message came through. She sent him a video with a short note. "You need to see this, that's awful. Isn't this the diner your old instructor owns?" He hit play. The moment he saw her face, he froze. Linda, his former drill instructor, The woman who taught him how to stay calm under pressure, how to lead, and how to never abandon civilians, no matter the cost. "Where did you get this?" he typed. "My friend was there when it happened," she replied. "They recorded it during the attack." John didn't hesitate. He jumped up and rushed straight to his commanding officer's office. He burst through the door, phone in hand. "Sir, we have a situation. This video shows armed gang members threatening and assaulting Linda, a decorated veteran. It just happened." The commander, an older man and longtime comrade of Linda's, watched the footage in stunned silence, then clenched his jaw in fury. God damn it. In Houston? And they're humiliating a veteran like her? He stood and barked the order. "Take 6 men. Get down there. Assess and report. And not a word to Linda. She mustn't know. Got it?" "Yes, sir." John nodded firmly. The door shut behind him, and the counterstrike had begun. It was 11 p.m. The streets of Houston lay silent under the cold night air. Inside the small diner, Linda stayed late, quietly sweeping up the shattered glass in the display case the Mafia had smashed days earlier. The cold was biting, and as expected, her old war wound flared up, pain shooting up her leg with every movement. But she clenched her jaw and bore it. She'd been through worse. Despite the pain, Linda had decided to spend the night at the diner. She didn't want to leave the place vulnerable. Not tonight. What she didn't know was that the Mafia had been watching her since afternoon. They weren't here for money anymore. A powerful corporation was eyeing the land her diner stood on. The Mafia had been hired to make her disappear permanently. Their plan: kidnap her, dump her body in the river, and blame it on a robbery. This time, it wasn't 3 men. 20 armed thugs arrived in 4 black SUVs with military-grade weapons, tear gas, and attack-trained pit bulls. They moved in silently, watching from a distance, unaware that they were being watched in return. Lieutenant John Miller and his 5 team members, dressed in plain clothes, had been keeping watch nearby, acting on a tip and direct orders from the general. When the Mafia spotted them, they mistook the group for a rival gang and decided, eliminate the outsiders first, then take Linda. Suddenly, a firefight erupted. Pit bulls were unleashed, shots fired. John quickly yelled, "Inside! Protect the civilian." They rushed into the diner, barricading the doors. Gunfire hammered the walls. Glass shattered. Wood splintered. Linda emerged from the back room, calm but fully aware of the danger. John shielded her immediately. "Ma'am, get down. Take cover behind the kitchen." With trained composure, Linda whispered, "Use the kitchen fire. Soak rags, light them, throw out smoke. It'll blind their line of sight. That's your cover." The team went to work. Smoke billowed from the windows, thick and fast. Gunfire outside paused. The Mafia sent in pit bulls to search, but the dogs were disoriented by the smoke. Then sirens howled. Engines roared. From every direction, military vehicles stormed in, a full battalion. Searchlights lit up the street. A helicopter hovered overhead. Army-trained German shepherds charged forward, tackling Mafia men in a flash. The pit bulls? Frozen, silent, terrified. One massive armored vehicle rolled in. A 4-star general stepped out, voice like thunder. "Everyone on the ground. Drop your weapons. Hands where I can see them." He marched up to the Mafia leader, stared him down. "You want to kill Linda? Do you have any idea how many terrorists she's taken down in her lifetime? You've made a huge mistake." The general then ran toward the diner, the air still thick with smoke. He burst through the door. Inside, he saw what mattered most. No one was injured. Linda stood tall, face stern, eyes proud. "I knew," she said quietly, "you'd come." Outside Linda's small diner, each Mafia member is handcuffed and escorted into military vehicles. Their faces are pale, their eyes downcast, intimidated by the sheer presence of the military force around them. By the time the local police arrived, everything was already under control. The 4-star general stepped forward, confronting the police chief directly. His voice was calm, but carried undeniable weight. "You let this neighborhood fall under the Mafia's control without knowing it? This is negligence. You'll be held accountable by the federal government. He paused, then spoke louder, his eyes sharp with authority. "And that fool of a mayor who's been quietly backing this, helping the Mafia partner with a development corporation to seize this land? We have every piece of evidence. Don't even think about covering it up." The general turned to Linda, raising his hand in a formal salute. "Miss Linda, on behalf of the entire unit, thank you for your courage." Then he gave a final order to Lieutenant John Miller. "Tomorrow morning, report back here. Help rebuild her diner. The Army will cover all expenses." Sunlight warms a freshly painted sign. Linda's Diner. New glass windows glisten. Tables and chairs have been replaced. The place feels alive again. Journalists and reporters gather, snapping photos and jotting down notes. Soon, Linda's story spreads across social media, a symbol of justice, courage, and resilience. Locals pour into the diner. Many share stories of how they, too, were harassed by the Mafia. For the first time in years, they feel safe. As he tastes Linda's homemade pie, he smiles. "Tastes just like my mom's." Linda simply smiles back, a quiet pride in her eyes, like a second mother watching her own succeed. Linda and John's girlfriend are at the terminal, seeing him off as he prepares to deploy to the Middle East. No words are needed. Their eyes say it all: trust, respect, and silent gratitude. In a chaotic world, there are still those who rise for justice, not with power, but with loyalty, kindness, and unwavering faith. And sometimes, a simple pie can spark a fire for what's right. If this story touched you, if it meant something to you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Old Soldier Story. Thank you for listening. We wish all our viewers strength, peace, and good health